Beyonce was serious when she said, "I'm going back to the South." Hello there, welcome to the channel. Today we'll be discussing Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album artwork, which has had the internet on fire since she released the artwork on Instagram. We'll get into the symbolism and rich history behind Black rodeo culture and Black people in country music. Let's get straight into it. There's never been a shortage of Black cowboys. We just don't hear about them. The original cowboys were enslaved ranchers. It's only after slavery was abolished that these men were actually hired for their work. Cowboys make up a large part of what's known as Southwestern culture. Mainstream media has, of course, widely overlooked the presence of Black Americans within this culture. Nate Love, Bill Pickett, and Jesse Saul were a few of the very first known Black cowboys. Though historians and scholars estimate that 1 in 4 cowboys were Black, that is nowhere near the image that is portrayed in the media. Pickett was a Texas native. He invented what is known as bulldogging. It's a skill of grabbing cattle by the horns and wrestling them to the ground. He eventually became well known for his stunts and was able to perform them at local fairs. Eventually, with his 4 brothers, Pickett founded the Pickett Brothers Bronco Busters and Rough Riders Association. He was able to travel around Texas, Arizona, Wyoming, and Oklahoma, performing his acts throughout the early 1900s. Today, the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo is the longest standing touring Black rodeo, and it's named in his honor. By the 1940s, the Southwestern Colored Cowboys Association was created. They offered rodeos and events, specifically in small rural towns with ties to cattle herding. These Black rodeos provided a safe space for Black Americans to gather, compete, and celebrate without the fear of discrimination or violence. These social gatherings fostered a deep sense of not just community, but pride within the Black rodeo culture. For context, the largest rodeo in the world is the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. They had an attendance of 2.4 million in just 2022 alone. But with its creation way back in about 1932, Black people were definitely not welcome. Hence the forming of the Southwestern Colored Cowboys Association in 1940. Y'all know we had to make our own. In 1957, at the age of 21, a young man by the name of Murtis Dightman organized the very first trail ride for Black Americans, leading 10 other cowboys in a ride from Prairie View to Houston. With Jim Crow laws being repealed in the 1960s, Black riders began to join the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. In 1964, Dightman became the first Black cowboy to compete at the National Finals Rodeo, which is the rodeo event hosted by the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, and by 1967 was called the Jackie Robinson of rodeo. Though he is the first to compete in essentially the major league of his sport, it wasn't until 1982 that Charley Sampson, a Black professional rodeo cowboy from Los Angeles, California, won the championship. Dightman and Sampson stood on the shoulders of those very first known Black cowboys, Pickett, Love, and Stall.
For 100 of its heart. You're right. There he is. Oh, what a bullseye we see going on here. This is some kind of a bullseye.
We can't mention cowboys without talking about the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo. It's the longest touring Black rodeo. 2024 marks the 40th year since its creation in 1984. The rodeo was created to give Black American cowboys their own platform to keep their traditions and culture intact. The rodeo was founded by the late Lou Vasson and named in Bill Pickett's honor. Today it is run by Vasson's widow, Valeria Howard Cunningham. Rodeo events include bulldogging, the very technique that made Pickett famous, bull riding, and calf roping, just to name a few. There are even dedicated events for juniors and ladies, offering scholarships and prizes for the winners. This year, the rodeo will begin touring next month in April in the city of Memphis. You can visit their website for more information and tickets. Being the face of a rodeo does not come easy. A rodeo queen is a woman who has won this title, and this requires skills, okay? She'll master horse riding, public speaking, have knowledge of rodeo, and on top of all that, she'll need to look the part and have a winning personality and great showmanship. After winning the title, the queen will then represent her title at different rodeos in the area, parades, charity events, and even media placements. Most states and/or rodeos host their own competitions. Nationally, there are only 2 for adult women. Upon winning this title, a rodeo queen will go on a ride carrying her flag. She will also receive a crown to sit on her cowboy hat and a sash. Most notably, Kalila Smith and Jadea Kirsch have earned the distinction of being crowned rodeo queens of Michigan State University and Coal Hill of Arkansas, respectively. We know these rodeo spaces are as much ours as anyone else's, even more. There's no doubt these women had to face hurdles in the pursuit of their title. Their perseverance, passion, and love for rodeo is both admired and deeply respected. Much like the erasure of Black folks from the mainstream rodeo culture, we face this same erasure within country music. Black people were and are pioneers across every single genre of music. There are a countless number of Black musicians who also blended genres like jazz, blues, and R&B with country. The first that comes to mind for me would be the iconic Pointer Sisters, who could make any genre of music sound good. Within country, they most notably peaked on the Hot Country chart at number 37 and won a Grammy Award for Best Country Vocal Performance for the song Fairy Tale.
Y'all like country music? That's what I want to hear. I tell you, I like country music. We all like country music, don't we, girls? We from the country. Yeah. So we wrote ourselves this little country song. Now I want you all to sit back and relax and just listen to our little country tune.
Almost 30 years before the Pointer Sisters group was formed, deford Bailey was the first Black American country and blues musician to have his music recorded in Nashville and be played on the Grand Ole Opry, the longest running radio broadcast in U.S. history.
Catch it. Stick it. Yeah. Hey, stick it. Catch it.
Charley Pride earned 52 top 10 hits on the Hot Country chart, 30 of those peaking at number 1. He also won the Entertainer of the Year award at the Country Music Association Awards in 1971 and was awarded a Grammy for Best Male Country Vocal Performance in 1972.
Thank you. Ever I chance to meet old friends on the street, they wonder how does a man get to be this way? Always got a smiling face.
In 1967, he became the first Black performer to appear at the Grand Ole Opry since deford Bailey, who had last appeared in 1941. That's a whole 16 years. Linda Martell is considered the most successful mainstream Black female artist within country music and was the first Black woman to play the Grand Ole Opry in 1970. In the South, she was marketed as the first female Negro country artist. It is said that the success of Charley Pride within country is what convinced white executives that Linda Martell was marketable to this same audience.
If I really was a smart girl, I could turn him loose. Your lady. Instead of sitting there crying with a bad case of the blues.
Miss Martell shared many times that she was heckled by audiences and taunted frequently. Due to professional conflicts, she left her record label and began traveling around the U.S. performing in clubs. She eventually moved back to her hometown in South Carolina for a quiet life. In 2021, she was honored by the Country Music Television Music Awards. Beyonce's Texas Hold'em reaching the number 1 peak on the Billboard Hot Country charts has cemented her in history as the first Black American woman to top this chart. B shared the album artwork for her upcoming album, Cowboy Carter, on Instagram, thanking everyone that has supported the release of her 2 singles, Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages. It's clear this album will undoubtedly be both a love letter to her Texan roots and Southern culture, and the biggest fuck you to any and everyone who thinks she doesn't belong in spaces she so chooses to be in, such as country music. Black music is country music, okay? She reveals the album was born out of an experience she had years ago, in which she both did not feel welcomed and was not welcomed. Now, we all know Beyonce is referencing her performance of Daddy Lessons from the Lemonade album along with the Chicks at the Country Music Awards back in 2016.
Performed with Beyonce. I don't know whether it was because of your country fans who felt you had betrayed them or she wasn't country. I remember it was just a big fucking brouhaha that you showed up with Beyonce. Like criticized for that, right?
It was just a weird vibe in that building. We hadn't done anything, country award shows or anything since the controversy. Let me just say, the week we worked with Beyonce is the single greatest working week of my professional life. It was awesome to watch her world, to see how she does stuff. She's a perfectionist, and to see the power she has as a female and a Black female is incredible. And I guess they can rate those shows now by the 15 minutes. It's Absolutely. The highest rated 15 minutes in CMA history. And then they start getting, racist assholes bombarding their website with comments and emails and whatever. And so they take her down. They took our performance down and caved to that bullshit. And then they, I guess, got so much bad press for doing that. Within 24 hours, they put it back up again. Just cowards. It's just crazy. She just gave you your greatest ratings that you've ever gotten. How dare you take her song off? It was ridiculous.
You fucking kidding me. I knew none of that. Would you ever perform at the Country Music Awards again, or have you just had it?
No, I mean, I had said I would never after 2003, but then when Beyonce calls, you're like, okay, maybe just this one time. One last time.
Do you get nervous?
So no, I'll only do it with Beyonce.
Much like the album Daddy Lessons is featured on, Beyonce found a way to make lemonade of those lemons served to her by the CMA attendees and viewers. Immersing herself in the history of country music, genre bending, and experimenting creatively not only led to her groundbreaking accomplishment as the first Black American woman with a #1 song on the Hot Country Music chart, but also put a huge spotlight on other Black women artists within the genre. According to data from Spotify, Black women country artists Mickey Guyton, Raina Roberts, and Tanner Adele all had increased streams across the first week of March. The streaming of Beyonce's Daddy Lessons also increased by 540%. Song Data conducted a report on representation within country music. Of about 2,100 artists played on country radio stations from 2002 to 2020, only about 1.5% were Black, compared with about 98% who were white. Y'all remember Lil Nas X's song Old Town Road, the one that Billboard Hot Country chart removed from their charts back in 2019. They claimed it lacked country elements when compared to other songs from the chart, but you can't tell me that wasn't rooted in racial bias and discrimination. Questionable and fucked up decisions like removing Old Town Road from the country charts align with what Beyonce stated in her caption about hoping that one day an artist's race is irrelevant in regard to the genre of music they create. Alright, let's get into this album cover. It was photographed by Texan Blair Caldwell. Just like a rodeo queen, and much like the cowgirls we've seen at the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo, Beyonce sits confidently on her horse, head held high, with her cowboy hat and her sash adorned with her winning title. She is proudly flying the flag of the land in which her people come from. This was a big, bold, and Black American statement, okay? I don't know about y'all, but when I saw this photo, all I heard was, this my shit. Now I know there's some people who haven't been paying attention or perhaps don't keep up with Beyonce might be confused by her bold allegiance to Black Southern Texan culture. Beyonce grew up attending rodeos in the Houston area, and she even made an appearance at the Houston Rodeo in 2004 and performed in 2007. Depending on your age or knowledge of her career, you might remember when she was often demeaned and referred to as a country bumpkin, not speaking properly, and there was even a running joke in which people would question if she knows how to read, all because she spoke with a southern drawl like many people who are from the southern United States do, because she's, southern. We won't even get into the anti-blackness behind some of those comments. Beyonce's made it very clear she's a Texas Bama. She's not new to this, but true to this. She's also always expressed Southern culture in her fashion and even did a rodeo collection for her fashion brand, Ivy Park. Act 2, Cowboy Carter, drops March 29th, and this album will clearly be heavily critiqued and dissected if we're basing it on all of the think pieces across the media that the two singles, Texas Hold'em, 16 Carriages, and the album artwork has already caused. Beyonce shared on Instagram what looks like it could be a track list, maybe of songs, interludes. We'll have to wait till the 29th to see. I was geeked to see that she'll have a cover of Dolly Parton's Jolene and the nod to Miss Linda Martell. I also feel like the song that's called Spaghetti is gonna go crazy. Beyonce was serious when she said, "I'm going back to the South," and shouted out all of her lineage and ancestors on the way. From the legacy of black cowboys and rodeo queens to the historical black pioneers of country music, Beyonce is sure not to forget her roots, as well as those who paved the way for her artistry, and to give them their flowers. All right, y'all, that's the wrap on today's commentary. If you watched this whole video, we cousins now, and I can't wait to link with you on the next one. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like, subscribe, share, comment, turn on post notifications, all that.